We got some back-to-back gaps here, guys. Look at this. We just got our NQ fill from our last live trade video here. We called the dump at the 666. Come back down to the gap here, 17,775. Right now, you look to the right. I was just about to hop off the computer. We'll get some rest. I look, and ES sets up a double gap. How am I supposed to walk away from a DB or DG rather? Double gap. So best case scenario is very similar to this. We're going to look for the same price action that came up to the 666 on ES. So if these gaps stay open, the algos will force it from 525.50 up 666 area, come slamming down to gap 1 and gap 2. That is the best case scenario. If they fill right now and wash out early, I'd rather miss it than risk it. I want to see that push into the 666 and then the failure, which is a lot better. I see an NQ gap again here to the downside of things. So we already filled the first gap. We might fill the second one right away. And if that's the case, you could actually take it invertently long, where the 666 will still get tagged, but you'll fill gap 1, gap 2. You'll head back up to 666, and you'll get a long to the magnet of the 666, because just like the NQ did, the ES will eventually magnet back up from its break, because back here we had a snap through with no confirmation, just washed it. Then we needed to come back and retest that. So, okay, close the first gap, left the second. Second gap is still right here, 5024 and some change. Again, best case scenario would be pushing up from here into the 666 1 minute, then falling back down. We'll see if we get it. Q's also has now a gap above it. So if the play we're talking about, the secondary play I'm talking about, comes back down, it's going to be pretty big play. So what that means is gap 1 is filled, gap 2 will fill. That'll end up being a consolidation long back up to the 666, and then ES is no longer the better trader. You're going to go to NQ because that is the one with the gap above it and not below it. So if we miss the below gaps coming down on ES, we have a chance to grab the upside gap back here on the NQs. Always being versatile, leaving our options open for all the contracts. Being able to swap from NQ and ES, whatever has the actual trade set up, is definitely the way to go. Okay, we got the same gapola up there, so you want to start buying into these bids if you get any.
Order filled.
I'm going to buy one market on this one, but just to sneak in here a little bit. This one might be a pretty baby trade.
Order filled.
Okay, I got a couple of orders there, Phil. I'm going to turn that down so don't blow your ears up. Sorry, guys. Probably already blew it. Probably all deaf already. So need to push up into the gap here. Quick little scalpy scalp. No matter how much it is, as long as it's a nice little green. Del ES is still on the same path here. One gap open. Boom.
Order filled.
I'll take it. A few $100 there. Yeah, barely a couple $100 there. We didn't have a lot of contracts on that one, but we just did a double gap. So what you want to do is hop out and hop right back into the short, because we now have a double gap at the same area, despite how high this wants to push up. Okay. Well, short-lived. Filled both gaps right there. No fills on the bottom side, but we got the top. Another little live trade utilizing 1 minute gaps like we like to do. So tune in for the next, and then we'll get back to you on some more analysis. Another good morning, traders. We got another live trade going on here on the NQs. So building up an apex short right now. As you see from our last short down to the gap, we had created a nice lower low, big exhaustion down into 1774. And we bounced the -2 deviation here on the VWAP. So now you see on the oscillation indicators here, we're just getting kind of over the zero line. We have one gap above us at 17,784 and one gap below us right here, 17,746. Now, there's a very large gap here to that downside for some movement here. So that would mean the NQ pretty much goes back to red or flat from 40 points up. So I'm going to see what this one does. Yes, as well. My assumption is the scam up here up to the gap fill here, and then maybe a smaller push, and then reverse later on. Because if you look, we have everything matching metrics to kind of squeeze us and scam us up here. Higher low and consolidation is one of the biggest parts of interest here. So hopefully it goes only to this gap and then kind of gives us the pullback that we need, because that's going to be it to fill this top gap and head on down to this one. But you can see these big consolidations with the fresh low breakout here. So this rise, fresh low, big squeeze up, rise, fresh low, big squeeze up. Simple pattern. Now up to volume area highs again and very close to this gap. So I'd like to see 17,784.11 to fill and roll under volume area high here. Oh, we got another gap right there. Got lots of baby gaps here, man. This is just gap central right now. I don't really see anything on the ES as of yet. We do have one on ES down here. Okay. And we also got a gap on 50/20 for algo, 1 minute gap there. So let's see what we get here. So this gap was filled immediately on the Qs. I think we could take a few ES here as well. Excuse me. Very early. On the way back down to 50/20. It's only about 4 points on ES, but I'm going to focus NQ, I think, here. But ES still definitely has the setup for right here. 50/19. Let's see if the NQ gets past this POC and pops into this gap. Pops back into this resistance here from prior. 17,785. 50s. And a nice little breakdown here. We already started a little position here on the same old accounts, as you can see. So looking for that progress right down to the gap or pop, gap fill, a dropola. Interesting. Always some discrepancies in between platforms to see which ones have gaps, which ones do not. You can see this NQ contract here. Should be the same contract, 777, 777, yeah. Same contract, but Thinkorswim is showing a gap right here. We charted off at that 84. And up here at that 84, we're not getting anything on Tradevate. Something to keep in mind there. Yeah, there's only about 3 and some points left here. We're going to have to see what that entails here. Nice little breakdown there. It's interesting. Trade of 8 doesn't have either of the gaps. The one down here. Am I in the minute chart? Yeah. Oh, that's the micro. That might be why. Okay. Trade of 8 does have it up here. I lied. We were on the micro, not the mini. Yeah, you can see the gap just on the bottom right there and stretch the screen out a little bit. All right, so for this live trade, we have two different scenarios here on the gap. Oscillation right now is just swapping to that backside. Let's check a little longer time frame here. Oh, we're just tagging into the 200. Nice. Okay, so 200 SMA 5-minute lower high here. It can still pop up here a little bit and go a little higher if it wants to, but inevitably we will be coming back down right here. This gap. Ugh. It's a really good pattern here too, and it does an exhaustion push. We like the lower high sets like this too. All the way down now, my friend. Now, of course, not going to be a straight shot because price action doesn't do that, right? So we're under our POC. Our red line here comes down, gives us a higher high in sequence, and then might break down into the lows, find volume area low, come down a little bit more, and then find that fill. And not to say we can't actually push all the way back up even from here, like on the trend line that you have going here in the short term to fill the top gap. Got mini trend here. So if this definitely holds up this good trend all the way back up super slow, like so, but still this is just a short add at the top gap here. Looking for that fill here. All right, so this trade is more of a set it and forget it. So we are going to just set some stops and some targets down here for just a couple contracts so we don't overdo anything per the usual. So we'll stop back on the video record in a minute here and look at the trade plan. Again, trade plan is for a pop into a higher high, little scam up and then fall, or continuation down from here, but both inevitably leading to our gap on the bottom here at NQ. So I think option 1 here is going to most likely play out. Option 2 for the upper gap fill is going to be just an add point for the shorts at this gap. And then I want you guys to pay very close attention here, because if option 1 does work out here, we get the breakdown all the way down to the gap fill first. We have left this gap open, so we could do a reverse back up. If you miss the short, that would be your long area, and then it's the same thing, just inverted. So let's take a peek at what happens and we'll stop back. All right, guys, we've been fighting tons and tons and tons of micro gaps. You can see all the transactions here. We've been making money. This thought this would be a good learning experience here. But these 1-minute candles are now all developing. The last second of the move is squeezing up right here, which means it's going to scam higher. It's going to break out of this. I can just tell by simple price action at the 1 minute what it's going to do here. So bring it to TOS here so you can see it a little bit better with the clock. You can see it coming down in the last second here. Watch 7:13 central here, about 10 seconds left of the candle. And what it's going to do It'll shake a little bit. Looks like it goes to the downside and then plow up. Get a fake out to the downside here because this gap is open right here at 17,759. Okay, there's your new candle. You see it dropped. Fresh low on the 1 minute, right? So red all the way green. Last 1 second, boop, fresh low, slam up, right? That's what it's been doing over and over and over again. This sequence is a pattern of scam that the market will force up off nothing for no reason here. You're seeing it again, and there we go. 100% accuracy. So when this actually pops back up and continues, we're going to get a massive squeeze, probably back up to like secondary trend line because we've been on the low trend line for so long. So it's going to start massively squeezing up here. And the longs are going to, there we go, right there. The longs are going to get absolutely decimated. So it's a good learning experience to see these algorithms at the last candle mass right here. So 713 is where we started, right here. And then you'll see those fresh lows. Like I said, those don't even matter. None of this resistance is real. And I could just tell literally by the last couple seconds of the candle how it's going to react to resistance. There is no such thing as resistance on this algo pattern. So it blows right through the tops. It's a very easy short squeeze to see. And I could see this coming from a mile away from just the 1 minute candle. So very fun learning experience here, as most people don't really understand how algorithms work. Tentatively, they're not that easy, but if you stare at this stuff long enough, you'll catch the pattern. All right, as you can see, the squeeze is still prominent. It's going to go all the way up to the gap now because it scammed the bottom squeeze. So from our pre-market analysis, or I guess pre-recording analysis, we were looking for that gap fill. I wanted option A all the way down to almost fill, and then out of nowhere it just plows right back up. That's what something you just always look for. This is most typical trading for algorithms there is, and you could see that coming from that minute, right? And so lower low on RSI tricked you. The MAC didn't trick you. The MAC was actually telling you from a mile away that this was going to plow up too. But this gap up right here from volume area lows, we haven't seen POC in a while. It'll probably go volume area high and gap because that's exactly where the gap is, volume area high. So this is going to have a 0 red candle squeeze all the way to 17,784. And again, I could tell that from 712, 713's scam candle because the algorithms are only here to scam you out of positions, especially when they start acting in the last few seconds of the candle. So like I said, this right here, I said it was going to come back down, start a fresh low of this candle, right? Because it was hovering up here. It was showing you this green when we were talking about it. And then poof, right there. It's very hard to see that fresh little tiny low, but then boom, gone. And right after that opened up equal to that and poof, right back up. So these algos are pretty simple, well, for me to see coming. Now we hit both trend lines from the top here, and this should be the last squeeze point, and we'll see this thing play out. Just a point here, there's also a really good tactic of seeing these scams right here on the 15-minute too. So lower high, lower low, all lower lows all the way RSI. Large seller wave, full cross, looked like it was going down and then plowed it straight up as well. And the market loves doing this. This is the most typical scam that the market does. So we are going to come in a double gap scenario. We usually will gap, come back up, not fill, go down to the second gap, try for the fill. You know, I got stopped out down here for a huge 3,000 some profit, pushes all the way back up to this, breaking through trend, through 200, through 66, through VWAP without any back test of any care of anything as far as support goes. And it's going to squeeze all the way back to this gap because that is the algorithm left open. So I'll see you at 17,785 guaranteed. And there you go, guys. As the algo scam completes here, 100% accuracy per the usual with algos. From here, called it at 713. No such thing as resistance. No such thing as anything according to the algo program. It is game over. No trend line. No 100 EMA. No 200 SMA. No VWAP. No 666. No huge Fibonacci. At 7860, volume profile, POC, nothing. She was going to go all the way 100% scam up to the gap magnet, and that's why gaps are the most important thing.